Hello, Connie here. We're going to do a beginner-friendly, fast cure, less resin video. It is going to be a tray. Hopefully we'll get it done tonight. We have less resin kit here. It has 12 cups. We're not going to use them all. I'm going to show you everything in this kit. It has cups. It has stuff to make jewelry, and it has stir sticks in it. And these things are hard to get apart, as you'll see there. They don't like to come apart. Anyway, you get 2 stir sticks in this kit, and they're really nice sticks. They come apart. The resin comes off of them if you just let them cure when you get them done. This is I believe it's the 24 ounce each bottle. And this is less resin dye. It's a six pack kit. And these pipettes, you use them to suck out bubbles and resin from your projects when you get too much in your projects, or you can put resin in your project when you don't have enough in your project and you want just a tad bit more in it. And if you get a bubble in a pinhole and you want to get that bubble out, you use a pipette. There's all kinds of projects you can use a pipette for. They're good tools to have in a tight situation. You just have to have them on hand when you need them. Anyway, you want to have a magic marker on hand. I'm going to show you all my little tricks of the trade. I'm going to open these up. I label my bottles. That way you know everything. If you put down a top and you forget to put it on your bottle and you open another bottle, you know what that bottle top is if it's labeled. So I always label A and B when I open it. As you'll see, I'm just going to let you watch for a minute and I'll keep talking. I'm not going to just leave you stranded. Have paper towels handy. Have a pair of scissors, old pair of scissors. These are less resin cups. They're silicone cups. They're very nice to have on hand. They clean easy. If you have a bunch of resin left over, they pull right out. But I usually squirt alcohol in them and they wipe right out. This is an A and B resin, 1-to-1 resin as they call it. I mark it A, and I mark the top with A, and inside there is a cork, and you want to mark that cork. That is important because if you put that cork on the B, that resin inside that cork is going to mix with the other bottle and it's going to start to cure. So you want to mark your bottles clearly just in case you mix them up. So that little Sharpie is your friend. And you want to mark your cups just in case you have to remix anything. You won't have to re-dirty your cups. You will have them already mixed, and you want to mix them. You want to mark them on the milliliter side, or you want to mark them both on the cup side. It just depends on where you want to mark them, but you want to mark them both on the same side, and you want to put them even together. As you'll see, I'm going to use that pair of scissors to pop that top. You want to pour it slow so you don't incorporate a bunch of bubbles. The B bottle will incorporate more bubbles than the A. For some reason, it always does. And you're going to have to let this stuff sit for a minute. And less resin, redo your bottles. These bottles are terrible about pouring. They always drip on the side of the bottles. I don't know what it is about these bottles, but they're horrible. And you want to measure the same amount of B. It doesn't matter if you got 301 milliliter. It doesn't matter if you have 202. You want 202 of the other. You want to go straight across the board. You want to lay them straight across each other, and you want to be exactly the same as the other one. So you want to lay them together, and you want to put them exactly the same. So I'm going to lay them exactly right again. See how I'm going to put right against each other? So you want to put your eye level down so you measure the same. And you pour slow. I'm going to get down a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. You don't want to pour too much, or you'll have to pour it back in the bottle. I don't like doing that because you never know what you're going to pour back in the bottle. And you have to get a clean paper towel, or I usually grab a tissue or a paper towel. And this time I'm going to grab a tissue because I grabbed the paper towel the first time. And that way you don't mix the resin with A and B. And I always throw the paper towel and the tissue away. That way you don't mix the resin inside the A and the B. Those bottles will cure inside each other, just as sure as you put them down underneath the table. And you want to let them sit for 5 minutes to degas. Because that, I'm going to show you in just a minute, because that bee is full of bubbles for some reason. And I'm going to mix. I'm going to show you. It won't be when I'm done, though. And I ain't even done nothing but pour it. That's my timer. You gotta have a timer if you're gonna play with epoxy resin. This timer is so easy to use. You push a button, you push the minute or the hour, and you push it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get your time. And you push start, and you've got your time. Or you push clear, and it clears it. And while you're doing your degassing, you mix your glitters, and I'm finishing this bottle up, so I'm just getting that gone. I'm just using it up. Use your stuff up on trays and stuff like that. And this right here, I'm using some green. I want some stuff around some moss and leaves and stuff. You'll see the tray in just a minute. This is some brown and some orange I'm mixing together to mix with some trees that are turned in the fall. I actually mix in some gold later on, but I didn't show that. When you get your glitter and your mica powder, this is mica powder here. You want to mix your mica powder with your glitters. Mix it in a cup before you add your resin. That way all of it's incorporated together before you add your resin. Or you can put it in a different cup on the side. Then you have your resin in one cup. Then you add your glitter and your mica into the resin. That way you know what you're doing, adding, but I knew what I needed, and I was kind of in a hurry to do what I needed to do because I only had 20 minutes to do this. So I just added, as you can see, I'm adding it as I'm mixing it. You lift up your stick, and once you see that it's not opaque, you don't want to see your stick anymore. You don't want it to be translucent. If you know what I mean. You know what translucent is. Translucent is see-through. So you don't want it to be see-through. You want it to be you want it to be opaque, unless you want your tray to be see-through. And I really wanted my tray to be kind of translucent, so I didn't want to add a whole lot. But as you'll see, and towards the end, you'll see what happens. I'm not going to give it away. Here we go. I'm going to put all this stuff together. I'm going to move some stuff around. This is my, I believe that's A. I'm putting that in first. Hold on, I'm going to wipe that cup out. I see something down in that cup. I have a dog, plus I have a brother, and I have hair. So, we are human. If you are human, you have hair. Unless you are totally shaven. Plus you have dust. So you want to wipe out your products, your cups, and make sure your stuff is wiped out, because everything flies around. As you can see towards the end of this mixing, there's still something in the cup. And you'll see there's a trick to getting it out. And I'm not going to give it away. I'll show you in a minute. It's something you got to keep on the side to get it out. It's not a stick. There's just something you got to keep on the sidebar to get it out. It's not a spoon. You don't want to put your mica spoons in there. You don't want to put your you got to put your spoons in there to get the resin around there, but that's not what I use to get it out. There is a trick to get out debris out of your resin, and it snatches it right up. And you want to know this trick if you're going to play with resin. You want to get everything out of your cup, scrape it off both sides of your spoon, go back in and get more. It's all over there. You got to get it off the bottom, you got to get it off the sides. You don't want to use a wooden tongue depressor, because they cause bubbles in your resin. Unless you dip them and let them cure, That's the only way to not get bubbles on a stick, unless you use a bamboo stick. Bamboo, for some reason, doesn't cause bubbles. Here's the B part of the resin. See how I'm pouring it in there slow? That's how you don't cause bubbles. You pour it in there real slow on the side of your cup. You grab a hold of that cup solidly. You don't want it to slip. And those are good sturdy cups. I got that from Dollar Tree. It is you get it a 2-pack, and it's a good silicone cup. It doesn't flop around. It comes with a top, so you can put a top on it to keep stuff out of it. I just didn't put one on it. I don't know why I didn't. I just stacked. I bought 4 of them the other day, and I had them stuck over on the table while I was cleaning the other day, and I just didn't put all 4 of them with a top on them. I just stacked the tops on top of them and kept cleaning. And as you'll see, something dropped in there. You want to get everything out of A, too. I guess I poured B first. Guess it really don't matter. B, I know, has more bubbles in it. Don't let it degas when you first pour it. You end up with a pot of bubbles. Now, showing you how many bubbles are in there, and I'm going to you want to set it for 6 minutes, and I forget to set it. Oh, and what's stopping? Oh, I moved the camera and I forgot to set the timer. I wanted y'all to see the threads and the ribbons see how it gets threads in there? It gets cloudy before it gets clear. Don't panic. That's the way resin does. When it's mixing, it gets cloudy. As long as you mix slow, it won't get bubbles. Scrape your sides. Don't go up and down. Don't go from one direction to the other all the time. You can change one direction one or 2 times. I think I changed 1 time in this segment. I was going one way all the whole time, and I scraped see, I turned the cup and I scraped the sides, and I've got the spoon stuck to the side, And I've got it all the way down to the bottom, and I'm turning it up, and I'm pulling it from the bottom up. Now I went to the opposite side, and now I'm setting the timer. I forgot to set the I just realized I forgot to set the timer, so now we're on a roll. So now we're gonna go for 6 minutes, and it gets crystal clear like water. You'll see. Right now it's almost like a bath water. It's yucky water. Like a dishwater soapy water. And you don't want to pour that yet. It's not bubbles, it's just thready. You don't want to pour that because it's not mixed. You want to hold your cup real good. You don't want that to pour out. It'll ruin your carpet. Keep stirring. Aha, I found it. There it is. I'm pulling it up to the top. Watch close. Here's your trick. Here's your trick. Hold on. I'm going to show you what I'm going to use. There it is. Q-tip. It grabs a hold of it and it's gone. That's your trick. It'll grab whatever you're trying to get out. A hair, an eyelash, a dog hair, whatever. It'll grab it and get it gone. A bubble, just whatever. Just get you a Q-tip and set it there. Get you a couple of Q-tips and set it there. Just keep your Q-tips right next to your workstation. And I'm pulling out. Lift your bubbles. Just slowly lift them up and they'll pop. If you got a big bubble in there, just slowly lift them up. When I lift it up, I left an air pocket underneath my spoon, and that's how you get bubbles. But I wanted to get that debris out of there, so. But in order to get the bubbles out, you have to lift your spoon up and it'll just pop out if you just lift slowly, and it'll pop if you just bring up your spoon slow. I should have used a longer spoon. I've almost got my fingers down in the resin. I should have used my red spatula from Dollar Tree. It's getting cloudy now. It's starting to mix. There's no more threads in there, so it's starting to mix now. Can you see a difference? Starting to clear up. We've been mixing for about 4 minutes, maybe 5. It's almost time. But you can't over mix unless you go over your time. You don't want to go over your work time. But you can get to where you don't mix enough. You don't want to do it where you don't mix enough because you don't want to undermix it. Looks like I need to change my glove. I'm going to walk through it. My thumb's about to push through that glove. These are Timu gloves. They look thin. I think I do actually break through this glove before the project's over. I often change my gloves through a project. If they get sticky and start pulling, I change them. Oh, look how clear that is. Oh, I'm so proud. It's so clear. Now, it's time to clear the button. I believe the timer just went off. Alright, we're going to put some of this in the mica powder and glitters. But you want to have a paper towel handy to wipe your cup and wipe your mixing cup. You don't want to make a mess on your table, especially since I don't have a plastic sheet over that resin table. I usually have a sheet over that table. I don't know where it went. When I was cleaning, I got to put it back down. I usually have a silicone mat on that table. When I get through, I'll have to squirt everything down with alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is your friend when you're working with this stuff. It is 91% alcohol. I buy it from Walmart. You buy it 91%. It's called Equate. I buy the great big bottle. I go ahead and get 3 bottles at the same time. I have an old bottle of Windex. It's a Windex squirt bottle. Don't throw them away. They are the best squirt bottles you'll ever come across. I have about 4 of them. And I refill those things with Windex. I refill them with alcohol. I refill them with cleaning products. Then Windex puts out the best bottles. Way to go, Windex. Anyway, I'm done putting a plug on them. Anyway, I'll pass up that one anyway. Here we go. Mixing the mica and the resin. Mix slow because you don't want to mess up all this resin. You don't want to put bubbles in there just because you're getting close to your time. You don't want to mess it up. And I'm starting to speed it up, and I don't want to mess it up. And I'll slow down in just a minute. I want to make sure that resin gets all mixed up on the bottom. I have resin, I have, glitter, I have mica powder in that cup. Rocks, especially in the green one. Remember, I put the rocks in there. It was clanging on the bottom of the cup. I want to make sure it's all coming up. It's got gold flakes in there. It's got, oh, that's a pretty gold. That's a pretty green. I think I mixed like 4 different colors in that. It's got gold, green, the rocks. I tend to mix a lot of stuff when I do stuff like this. When you pick up a picture and you want to blend, go by the picture and start picking up the picture, the colors in the picture. Because when you work with resin, the resin will smear the colors of your mica powders and your glitters. It'll just blend it, and it'll just blend it. See how I've got it going on? It's thick enough. I don't want it to be too thick. I want it to cure. And I'm out of time. I've got 38 minutes. I need to start that. That's my cure. It should be 20, but I've got it on 34 minutes, and that's the wrong. I have that wrong. And I should have it on 20. And I'm sorry about that, y'all. That should be 20 minutes. This is what the tray is going to look like, but I have to take all that out of the tray because I have to pour clear resin in the bottom. But that's what all the pieces are going to look like in the tray. But I have to put all the stuff back in it, and I'm going to put clear in the bottom. I'm going to clean the tray because once I take all this stuff out, I noticed that there's a few things in the tray that I need. This is a piping bag that I use to put the mica powders, and see, I'm putting the mica powders in it, and that's what I put the resin in, and I put the mica powders and all that stuff. And I use a twist tie. So it don't squirt out the top. If that makes any sense. Some people just twist it and hope it don't squirt out, but I don't want it to be on the project or on the floor, so I twist tie that up. And I cut the end of that off so it don't get in the project and don't drag the project through the floor. I've had that happen before. I've seen it happen before in people's projects. They go to turn around and their project's being dragged through the ground. Or their their flowers being dragged through the project, and their whole project ruined. You don't want that to happen to a bloom. I like to do this kind of project. I don't like to do flowers and stuff. I hope this is working. See how I'm cutting it off? Just throw that plastic away. It's no good for nothing. Unless you do wrinkles on top of a cabochon or something. You can put that on top of it. You put UV resin on top of in a cabochon and put that plastic on top of the UV. After you put the resin in the mold, you put that plastic on top of it and wrinkle it in there and cure it. And it gives a wrinkled, wavy effect. But you can get the same effect with a glove, and that's probably the better product to use. I don't know. I'd much rather use a holographic film to do that. I'd crinkle up a holographic film and put it in a cabochon and push out all the air and push it in there and cure it that way. See, I'm not scratching. I'm using a tissue, and I've sprayed it with a little bit of alcohol. There was some. I've got a dog, like I've already said that. Her name is Crystal. There was something in the edges of this thing, and I wanted to make sure this thing was clean. I have made a tray before, and I was through with it, and I came back the next morning, and it had a hair in it. And I was like, oh no. I had to re-top it with a whole layer of resin after I sanded it. And I was like, man, why? And there's my hole. I knew that blood was going to get out on me. So change your gloves when that happens. Just change them and redo them. Just go ahead and change them. Don't scratch your gloves. Don't scratch your gloves. Get rid of the mess. Yeah, it was underneath the mat. That's where the mess was. All right, clean that up. All right, put your mat back. There you go. That's where the mess was, underneath there. Laugh with me. Just have a good time. Now there's my pot of gold. Now, that's my clear pot of stuff we just got through mixing. Now we're going to put this on there. Hopefully it's still pourable. There it is. There we go. It's still going. I'm surprised it's still working. This has been a long project already, and it's still going. All right, wipe that off, and I think I forgot to wipe it. No, I wiped it off. All right, I'm setting it down. You gotta spread out that resin. You don't want clumps of it everywhere. You gotta spread it out. So you want to get all the Make sure there's no bubbles. I think I go around with a stick and make sure there's nothing, there's no bubbles around the edges. And if you want to fast forward through this part, you can, because it's a little bit time consuming through this part. But you made it through this far, you might as well keep on listening. I might throw in a hint or two here and there. The weather sure is getting cold. My toes are freezing. I don't like the fall. The trees are pretty, but my feet just get cold. My dog wants out all the time. My feet get wet. I just get cold. I don't know if you saw a post I made on Facebook about 2 weeks ago during the tornado. Oh, you have to add a little bit of resin here. I didn't add enough, so you have to keep adding. During the tornado, I was unloading my car, and a little bitty Dotson, a long-haired red Dotson dog showed up, and she jumped up on my leg, and she whined, and she cried. She was so cute. And she cried, and she said, "Oh, Mama, help me, help me." And I said, "Oh, you're so cute." I said, "What are you doing out here?" It was raining, and nobody was outside looking for her. I said, "Oh, no." I snatched her up. I took her in the house, and I went on Facebook, and I took a few pictures of her first thing, and she was next to my workstation in my well, not my office, my living room, in my little cubby hole, really. And she wouldn't let me get a good picture of her. She was all cold and wet. So I kind of dried her off with my hairdryer. She was covered with fleas. I don't know how long she had been outside. I gave her something to eat, and she wouldn't eat, so I gave her some of my dog's dog food that I make. And it's some homemade dog food. And he absolutely loved it. It's some homemade dog food made out of chicken and broccoli and green beans and sweet potatoes and carrots. And anyway, he gulped it up and gulped it and gulped it. Oh, I said, man, I didn't think that dog was ever going to quit eating. Anyway, then he would not touch the water. I was like, what in the world's going on? And I knew my dog would not touch the water either. And I don't know what's going on with the water around here. But my dog won't touch the water anymore. And she's getting older. And my dog, I have to mix Aquafina and 2% milk in order for her to drink anymore. So I did that for this dog, and that dog drank so much Aquafina and milk. I didn't think that dog would ever quit. And my dog started drinking water and wanting some food too. So, of course, we had to go out in the rain to go potty break. Okay, I'm going to stop and talk about this resin and glitter because I've done bypass. You need to start on the background first. I need to back up, and you need to start with the bridge in the background first. I made a mistake. See how I'm having to pick it up? You need to start with the background first and then build to the front. I should have not talked so much about the dog. Anyway, you want to start with the furthest picture out because you want it to be 3D. But I fix it. It's fixable. I didn't go too far. I just fixed. I put it on top of the bridge, and I rescued it. I put it right on top of it, and I keep going. And you want to make sure you put the side in first and push it out to the other side. That way you get all the bubbles out and push it through. That way you push it on in because the resin's on the bottom side, and you push the resin through and get the bubbles out. The resin's not on the top side, so you can put your hand on it. And you'll see me do that in just a minute. Hopefully I've already done it. Talking, chit-chatting. I'm going to put some brown in. It's going to blend into the trees. This is the same color as the tree that's right there. At least I'm hoping it is. It's supposed to be. It's kind of blends in. Once I put the resin on the top, it all kind of bleeds in and it blends in. It's beautiful. You'll see it all blend in together. There's a stump that goes in the front, and another plant goes on the left side, and all this goes on the top. It doesn't look like it's going to look good, but it does. It's going to be beautiful. Just keep on. Keep your hands clean. Now I have to pick it up because there's a bubble, or I mix the resin. That's what I'm doing. I'm mixing the resin underneath there. And I think I also pull a bubble out. You want to make sure there's no air underneath the rice paper. This is rice paper. You can also do this with tissue paper, but the tissue paper is not quite as sturdy. See how I put my hand down? Put your hand down and you kind of roll it down and push. And I actually have to push it in. You kind of roll your tool down and push the bubble out. It's got a roll in it. I'll push there it goes. I push it, I pick it up, and see how sturdy paper is? It's repositionable. It's not permanent. You can reposition it. And I roll it and push the resin out and reposition it, and it's forgiving. That's the word I'm looking for. Resin is very forgiving. And then that's what it's. This is a beginner's project. If you want to begin with this, just get you some rice paper, and you use a paintbrush to tear this apart. Tear it. Get your paintbrush wet and tear it where you want to. Get it wet where you want to tear it, and slowly pull it apart where you want to tear it. You'll see, just look at where I'm tearing. Pause it when I pick up a picture, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I tear a picture apart just a tiny little bit at a time, and I just do a little. You can use a water brush, and that's based really what you should use, but you can use a water brush. You can use a water brush or a paintbrush. And water brushes are very easy to use. You fill them up with water, and they're pinpoint to where you want to put your water, and they don't put out too much water, and you can but the paintbrush is basically the same thing. And if you have a bunch of paintbrushes, just put you a little bit of water in a cup and put your brush in the water and put it on your rice paper and put a line. Put your fingernail on it and tear it a little bit. See how I tore out the stump? It's just got a line around it where I wanted to tear it. It did have bees all the way around it. I didn't want bees in there. I just wanted the stump, because I didn't want bees and a honeycomb in my bridge. I just wanted a stump in there. And I'm going to put a butterfly in there. So I used a butterfly from a totally different piece that I had. I believe I used it. Yeah, I used a rice paper that I got from TDS DIY Struggle. It's a DIY Struggle. This website is very reasonable in pricing, and I believe each sheet was only $3. And the colors are so vibrant, and the papers are very unique. You won't find them anywhere on the internet except for this place. This lady's name is Brandy, and I don't think she uses resin. See how I'm using the colors in the rice paper? I'm gonna mix it. I'm putting more resin on top of the colors. That way it smears and mixes. And I'm gonna move it around a little bit. That way I'm putting more resin on top. See how I'm dropping it on there? I'm gonna put more color on there. See how it's gonna be? It's gonna be like 3D on there. That piece is gonna just stand out. I'm moving the colors around. I'm going to drop it in there in just a minute. I promise. See how I'm kind of not just dropping it, I'm moving it from I'm pushing it in on one side and I'm pushing it to the other. And I'm working it in. I'm pushing it so the bubbles will pull out. And I'm going to let it push out. And I'm rolling the brush so the bubbles will push out. And I don't want it to be on the edge because I don't want the paper to be stuck on the edges. Oh, my dog's talking to us. She's dreaming, if you can hear her. She's talking to us. She's sound asleep and she's dreaming. She does that every once in a while. She just dreams. See how that rice paper just disappears into the background? Isn't that gorgeous? It's starting to set up. Resin's starting to stick to the silicone brush. Do you see how it's sticking? I'm going to have to quit. Yep, I put the brush down. I said, whoops, I got to quit. I'm going to put some more color down and I'm going to have to stop because the silicone brush is starting to stick to it. I'm going to put some color down and I'm going to have to let it ride. Because it's not even blending anymore. I'm going to use this resin up and then I'm just going to blend around the edges. I think that's all I'm going to do. I put the handles in off camera. I do not show me putting in the handles. I'm sorry, I do not do that. But I do that right after I cut the camera. I put the handles in and it's almost like right after I put the handles in, the resin sets. It was like the handles made the resin set. It was like, wow. I had a doctor's appointment right after I did that. I had to go. I was in a hurry. I had to, whoa, she's still singing. Can you hear Crystal singing in the background? I'm going to put the camera close to her. No, she quit. Crystal. There she goes. She's running. Her legs are moving. She's running. I think she wants to run and play, but she don't ever get to run and play. Okay, all right, here's where it all changed. I pulled the mold. I sanded this, the, the, uh, the tray. This is where you can change the surface of your mold, your tray. I wanted a different surface to the tray. It had a few ripples on it, so I sanded it. I took the mold off of it, and I put it into a pour tray, which is a cat box. I don't use it as a cat box. I don't have a cat. I have these cat boxes came from Dollar Tree. I use them as pour trays. I put them up on these stilts I have also from Dollar Tree. They're white. I think they're file trays, file separators. I put them in the pour trays, and I put them up, and they stand up high, and I put my products on top of them, and as you can see, it's up high, and I pour my trays, and it just drips right off the sides. And I also put frog tape on the bottom side of the tray. That way the resin doesn't stick to the bottom side of the tray. If you want to see how that's done, I do have another video of that. It's in my videos. If you want to see that, just look under more. It's under my videos. Just keep watching. But this is, I add something to it. I wish I was in the center. I can't center it. I don't know how to center the video. I have not quite figured out how to center a unless I stop and move the camera. I don't know how to center the video once it's recorded. If anybody knows how to do that, please let me know. I don't know how to do it. I figured it out. Thank you, YouTube. They heard me talking. Anyway, I don't know if I'm over voicing myself here. I'm going to keep on talking anyway. I'm adding some more color. Am I adding green, or am I adding... Looks like I'm adding green this time. Yeah, I'm adding green. Okay. That's good. How do you like this tray? I actually make feet for this. I make some more resin for the feet. I put them in a round piece of cabochon. I think that's how I'm pronouncing that right. It's a round piece of jewelry. It would be a half a circle on a jewelry mold, and it would look like feet. And I'll show you the bottom side of the mold. I mean, not the mold, but bottom side of the tray when I'm done with the video. It's got the same color glitter in the feet. I've got it gluing to the bottom. I've got it E6000 gluing the pieces on there while we're talking. Hopefully it'll cure resin to the other piece of resin. It was totally cured, so. Oh, now I'm adding orange again. I do add food safe resin to the top of this. So it's going to be food safe on top of the tray. So it'll be a food safe tray. If anybody's concerned about that. It would be a tabletop resin, if that's what you're wanting to do. Fast cure resin is more for bookmarkers or jewelry. Fast cure resin was something that we use today, but that was something I knew I was going to be in a hurry to do. But if you're going to do this in a tray, you want to make sure you use a tabletop resin or a casting resin that you have a 40-minute work time. This only had a 20-minute work time, and I had to split it up in, let's see, I had to stop working on it to go to the doctor's. I had to let it cure to sand on it, and then I had to let it cure again to pour again, because there's the butterfly. I put a butterfly on top of the stump to make it look more 3D. And I put more resin on top of that butterfly to make sure it was covered, because it kind of looked rippled once I put it in there. I pushed it down with a pair of tweezers, but it did not push down in the resin good. So later on I had to go back and put another coat of resin over this, but I did not move it from the pour tray. And it was very easy to take off the back of the drips off the frog tape. That's what I was trying to say. But as long as you take it off, don't touch the tray before the 12-hour mark. But you don't want it to go so far that you can't get your tray cleaned up. Just move your tray to the side and clean up your drip tray so you can move all your drippings off your tray. It was a breeze to clean up. I peeled it right off. I turned the tray over. I did not touch the tray. I just peeled it right off. I took off the green, see the silicone mold on the bottom? I peeled that straight off. It peeled all the resin that was dripped off. There was a plastic sheet back there. I peeled that off. That all peeled off. The only thing that was hard to get off, I had to use a pair of pliers, was to get it off the file folder. That was the only hard part, and I did that before it cured. And it's fixing to cut off. I only got about 20 seconds to talk. But here's your close-up, and you take a gander, and that is a gorgeous tray. I had 2 bubbles, and it's right there next to the butterfly, if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's right there near the butterfly. Thank you for watching.